Hey, what's up, you guys? Yeah, earlier this year, scientists reported for the first time that they documented two male humpback whales having sex with each other. That's pretty crazy. Hollywood's already going to make a movie about it. Yeah, they're going to call it Humpback Mountain. Yeah, it's crazy how languages change over time, right? Like nowadays, if a guy came up to me and was like, "I'm going to blow your brains out," I wouldn't know whether to run away or pull my pants down. I was watching a show about General George Armstrong Custer, his famous last stand at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. I was like, Little Bighorn? That's gotta be euphemism for penis, right? Little Bighorn? Like, here's my bighorn, and here's my little bighorn. Yeah, the NFL has one Asian player, and he's a kicker. Could you not find a more racist position for this guy? What, is he gonna come out in a karate uniform? Yeah, OJ died a couple weeks back. That was pretty crazy, right? It was even crazier the way he crashed the internet. Yeah, the second he died, basically half America got online and was like, "Who the fuck is OJ Simpson?" Yeah, I was watching this Bigfoot show the other day. Yeah, it struck me as how dedicated these Bigfoot hunters were. They're like so devoted to something that might not even be real. Like comedians in their careers. Mm-hmm. You hear April 4th is now a new national holiday. It's now National Burrito Day. It's pretty cool, right? Yeah, I love burritos. And the very next day, April 5th, is now National Toilet Clogging Day. Yeah, you hear about that boat that crashed in that bridge over there in Baltimore a couple weeks back? Mm-hmm. That's pretty crazy, right? It was a crash in the Francis Scott Key Bridge. It's kind of ironic, right? It's like, oh, say, can you see? There's a giant fucking boat coming! Yeah, they said the boat came from Singapore. I was like, crap. Asian driver, Yeah, the news, they said the boat weighed 200 million pounds. That's pretty damn heavy, right? It was actually even heavier before. It was actually 300 million pounds. But my ex-wife, she got off the boat right before it crashed. Yeah, I was watching the Oscars a couple months back. It was pretty cool, right? Towards the end, I was getting excited. I was like, hey, look, they're bringing back the Mummy. But then I was like, oh no, that's just Al Pacino. Yeah, I was in the United States Army, first cavalry Jim Fordhead. It was pretty cool, Mm. It's weird being the only Asian person there, though. Every day people were just looking at me like, are we supposed to shoot this guy? It's pretty cool being in the Army. You get some good benefits. I'd say the best benefit was the ability to give old men hard-ons. Yeah, old men, they love hearing Army stories. I guess because it makes them feel younger, it gives them hope for the future or something. It doesn't even matter what race they are. Like if I meet some old man at a park and I start telling him Army stories, I'm telling he'll come all over me. I was talking to this Persian guy the other day. I was like, "You're Persian? From Persia?" He was like, "Yeah, where are you from?" I was like, the Han Dynasty, I guess. Yeah, Asian people, we love Jewish people, We're like, "Sensei, please teach us." Why us Jewish people don't like us too much, I think I know why. It's because of our eyes. Because if you look, it's not that my eyes are slanted or small. It's that Asian people, we have an extra layer of skin over our eyelids. It's basically a foreskin, right? And you know how Jewish people feel about foreskins, so. Yeah, bad haircut a couple months back. It was real bad, You ever have a haircut so bad that people start treating you differently and shit? Like, this guy must have a learning disability or something. Look at him. I know it's a lot of anti-gay cultures are actually quite gay. Like Arab culture, for instance, right? They're notorious for being harsh on their LGBTQ, yet Arab men openly hold hands in the street. Right? How hypocritical is that, right? They're like, "Don't act gay!" La 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 la. And Russians too, right? They're world famous for being violent towards their LGBTQ. Well, I was watching the Olympics once, and this Russian gymnast, after he did his jump thing, instead of high-fiving his teammate, he kissed him on the mouth. And it wasn't just a peck either. They were like really going at it. Like, "We no tolerate the homosexuality in Russia. Come, Vladimir." It's strange, it seems that I notice men in other cultures enjoy a level of intimacy with each other that we just kind of lack out here. And I have seen it a little bit, because I was in the Army, right? There was this one guy in the Army, he'd be in the showers every time with a rock-hard boner. At the time, the policy in the Army was, with gay people was don't ask, don't tell. Nobody had to ask this guy if he was gay or not. He's all knocking over shampoo bottles and shit. That's shocking, you know. You walk in the shower room, you're like, what the fuck? At ease, soldier. Hey, you know, in the army, you're supposed to be hardcore, but not that hard, not that core. Yeah, I'll tell you a story. All right, I'll just tell something. The day I left for the army, right? You know, my mom, she came home from work early that day, right? She'd never done this before. And so we went to eat lunch at the Denny's and shit. And I remember I was so fucking nervous, like I couldn't eat anything. And then we go home, right, waiting for the recruiter. And then we're waiting for a couple hours, right? And I'm starting to think, yeah, you know, what if the guy doesn't show up, right? I'm like, yeah. But then right when that fucking clock strikes, when he said he'd be there, I hear these footsteps going up the stairs, right? And I can tell it's him because he's going like really slow, like not like a normal person. And he walks towards the front of the door, right? And then I hear a knock, it's like, then I open the door and it's my recruiter. Now I'd seen him about 5 times before this, right? But I'd never seen him with his full uniform on and shit, right? He's got all these like medals and shit. It's like, holy shit, this guy's like a fucking war hero. Anyway, I grab my stuff and I look at my mom, right? Now Asian people, you know, we're not very affectionate, right? And so my mom's never really hugged me or anything, you know? So she's looking at me, she's like, bye, son. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I turn to my, you know, we walk out. And then I follow him down the steps to his car. And we back up. And just as we're about to pull out, my mom comes flying down the fucking stairs, right? And tears are just fucking pouring down her fucking face, you know? And she runs over the car, fucking, she jumps on the back of it and shit, right? And she's like, I love you know, don't die, you know, come home and shit, right? And I'm like, oh, you know, I love you, mom, you know, but don't worry, you know, come home and shit. And I give her a great big hug, you know? And we drive off, and I look back, and she's standing on the side of the road, just bawling, you know, like, Yeah, it was crazy, you know? And I call her an hour later, you know, because I'm all worried and shit. And she's all partying with all her friends. I'll tell you this another story. It's the day I met The Rock, right? Me and my buddy were it was around 2015, I remember, and we were getting our licenses renewed at the DMV in Hollywood. And we're sitting there in line, and then he's like, hey, you see that guy over there? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I think that's The Rock, right? And I look, and he looked like really dark, like kind of like a black guy. And I was like, no, I don't think so. But then he smiled, and I was like, you know what, maybe, right? And I look around the room, and I could see everyone just kind of like whispering and pointing at the guy, right? And then you could feel like this excitement like building in the room, like literally every second you could feel it building. And at one point, some girl goes, it's The Rock, right? And everyone's like, oh shit. And then anyway, so I go up to get my picture taken, and he cuts the line, right? He cuts right in front of me, you know? And he's like standing like right in front of me, he's looking at me, right? I could have asked for his autograph, I could have shaken his hand, anything. But I was just so starstruck, I couldn't do anything. I was just like, and like, all I could think was, that's The Rock. That's The Rock. That's The Rock, you know? I couldn't do anything. And then he was just looking at me like, whatever. And then he went and got his picture taken, and then people were like running up to him and getting autographs and shit, and whatever, getting a picture. And I was just watching, I'm like, man, this guy's so cool, you know? Like, you could tell he was just so happy that people were being nice to him, you know? And I was like, man, if I ever see The Rock, I'm gonna go right up to him and be like, "Cause it's The Rock, man, I can't." Okay, I got more time. Let me tell you this other joke. This guy, special forces test, right? Starts out with like 100 people. After a couple of days, only 3 guys left. And the guys goes, all right, this is a final test, right? In this next room, sitting on a table is your wife, right? On the table is a gun. You know, you pick up the gun, shoot her in the head, you're in, right? First guy goes in there. He's only been married a couple months, so he's in there for like less than a minute. He comes back out, he hands him the gun, he's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do this. All right, second guy goes in there. He's been married for about 5 years. So he's in there for about 5 minutes. And he's like, no, I can't do this. You can't pull the gun. Third guy's been married for about 15 years. He goes in there, and right away they hear this scuffling sound, right? He comes back all disheveled and shit. They're like, what happened? It's like, man, some asshole took the bullets out of this fucking gun. I had to choke that bitch to death. Let me... whatever. I wish I had more jokes. Alright, screw you guys.